false side or something, as in like if you set a debate to where you're arguing, for example, it could be around, say, like a diet, both arguing for two different diets. And the assumption is that one of those is correct. But the problem is that um, both of them could either be not correct or both of them could be correct in certain situations. And that maybe there's a nuance where certain people might benefit from one thing and some people might benefit from another. So that is why oftentimes debates are just a pointless thing to where it just causes arguments around something that's like a false dichotomy. Um, so yeah, I'm from the UK. Where are you from? So yeah, so debates are generally just oftentimes two opposing sides that they're not necessarily both wrong or both right, but maybe they're both wrong or right in certain situations. And the arguments are just come from a lot of personal biases. A lot of the time, people using emotional rhetoric to back up their side, as opposed to actual objective reasoning. Oftentimes, using things like fallacies and using things like straw man and red herrings and things like that. Hello, Julia from Azerbaijan. How are you doing today? Hope you're well. So we've got to just not fall for all the kind of, manipulation if someone's trying to, argue. Like you got to understand if, say, someone's, using a straw man or someone's, trying to use a kind of what they call like bad faith arguments, I think they call it, or it's clearly deceptive or misleading. So yeah, so we have to clear up on what is a fallacy and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so like I was talking about this whole black and white sort of mentality that people have where you're either on, the liberal side or you're on the conservative side, for example. I'm talking about philosophical debates on that point. You might wrong. It's a suggestion what you mean. Don't know what you're saying. But, well, I mean, philosophical debates, I guess, that's one of the things with philosophical debates is oftentimes, could that also be that both sides are wrong? Because it's like when, people arguing about religion, for example, or whatever, and both of their perspectives could be completely wrong. And that's, they're not necessarily, looking at other options, like sometimes there's a third, a fourth, etc., that they haven't considered. Like, for example, you might get an atheist arguing with somebody who's a Christian, but maybe both perspectives are wrong. It's just because they are just kind of, yeah. What's that? What about reductivism? You mean reductionism, is it called? Only one can be right. I mean, yeah, in reality, I guess you would say that only one, in terms of like, if you're talking philosophical debates, um, depending on what you are talking about, I suppose. But it's just funny how, you've got, you know, we still don't even quite know like why is it that we are conscious and all that. And people can go on about, whatever theories, but scientists that will just say that, oh, it's just, that our consciousness is just an emergent thing from all these many, many years of evolution that just led to this point where, you know, matter just became self-aware. But does that make any sense? I mean, like, I don't think science can really explain how that even manifests itself. And but then at the same time, religion, their way of explaining things isn't necessarily accurate either. So it's just people are just kind of trying to, like fill in the blanks with a lot of assumptions and yeah. But the reality is that some things are just far beyond our comprehension. So I mean, I would say that neuroscience can explain certain things. It can explain certain things about the brain, but it can't, explain the fundamental of the what they call like the of why I'm here. Well, why is it I'm here? Like they call it the hard problem of consciousness. That's what scientists refer to it as because they still don't have answers to it. They wouldn't call it the hard problem of consciousness if it was, still if it had actually been figured out. So this is what it's called. So the hard problem of consciousness, coined by philosopher David Chalmers, asks why and how physical brain processes create subjective, um, qualitative experiences, qualia, the feeling of what it's like to see red, feel pain, or taste chocolate instead of just processing information. It contrasts with the easy problems like explaining how the brain discriminates stimuli or integrates information, which involve identifying neural mechanisms. The hard problem highlights the explanatory gap between objective brain functions and the subjective first person nature of consciousness, suggesting current scientific methods might struggle to bridge it. So, this is what I mean about qualia, about the subjective experience of it all. So, anyway, um, I mean, so you might say it answers it, but like that's your opinion on that, and it's just why does it cause me to exist? Like you can talk about certain mechanisms, but it's like, but why does it become self-aware? Why does it not just, like as it says, process information? There's still debate going on about this stuff, and it's just one of those things that's still not fully understood by the scientific community. But a lot of scientific community will just kind of be like, oh well, that's just how it works. That's just you know. But it's just that, the more I think about, kind of, what am I doing here? After all this chaos, that I just happen to be here, all these billions of years of random chaos, and then I just pop into existence, and I just think about that as in, yeah, I mean, well, yeah, that's a fact because we can see that it's not flat, but there are certain things in life that are beyond our comprehension, and it's like neuroscience is more about explaining certain brain mechanisms. That we talk about things like um like psychology and things like that, and how because let's say when someone's got brain damage, or there's certain things like how certain chemicals in the brain react and things like that. You've got things like neurotransmitters and all this kind of stuff, but it's like, but again, none of this seems to, sort of like explain the subjective experience of of the I am, that I am. It's like to say that it's just, oh well, it's just because there's these neurons and there's electrical signals or something, but that somehow creates the I am. Like it doesn't. It might explain how, but it doesn't explain the why. If you get me, so. But there can be a lot of the scientific community that has like dogmas where they assume that just as much as the religious people, where they just assume that there's no like kind of that basically that the consciousness is just something that the body just creates or something. I mean, I don't know. There's like, I mean, I don't know. It's like there's still ongoing debate on this stuff. I don't know. It just seemed like you've come in here to argue and to like, I don't know. I mean, we can. It all started off on the whole thing of like debates and how a lot of them are, um, were about black and white and all that kind of thing. And hello, Emmy. Oh Lord, how you doing? Like what people say about ego being good or bad. Well, like I said, it can be both um, good or bad depending on the sort of context of it. But we talk about philosophical debates and you just kind of believe in that, kind of nothing happens after this body dies or something. Is that what your take on that is? Do you think that that's just the end of it, I guess? I don't know. It's just when I think about that, it's just so there's all this random chaos. Then I come here for a brief period, and then there's just an infinite amount of time, just random chaos. I don't exist. I know that whole idea where there's just this infinite amount of time, and then there's just this random blip where I've come into existence, or anyone for that matter came into existence, and then it's just you know what I mean? It's just would make you kind of like scratch your head and think, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, what is this reality? Yeah, I agree, Sarah. How you doing anyway? I have a take, energy cannot be destroyed. We are energy. I was actually talking about this with somebody the other day about, um, but what is the energy that's, you know, does some people say that the consciousness has a weight to it or something. I don't know. I don't really think so. Probably. I think that whole whatever number of grams it was, it can probably be explained away due to loss of probably certain kind of things from the body, like say maybe expelling air or something like that, where there's that sudden drop of weight. So I think there's something going on there with like I don't know. But anyway, that's bad logic. What's bad logic? About the sudden weight or something. It's yeah, I don't think that necessarily is what is causing that. Thank you for the likes, Claire. How are you doing today? I'm doing okay, thank you, Sarah. Have you been here before then? So yes, it's a survival tool. I seem to have stepped on something intense. Yeah, yeah, just we talk deep sometimes, and it's all about trying to, yeah, just to try and kind of get to the nuances of certain arguments. Because, like I said, sometimes people will either say something's good or it's bad, and sometimes it's in between. It's like depending on the certain context, it can be good or bad. Hello, Alex. what's that? Tribalism will always be what drives humans. The need to fit in with a group ideology that suits your lifestyle, left, right, cultures, religions, all boils back to being part of a tribe, I guess. But for some reason, I have less of a need to do that. I don't know what it is, but certain people just seem to have less of a need to fit in and stuff. No, I'm not saying that psychiatrists are wrong. I'm not saying that neuroscience is wrong. And what I'm saying is that does it explain everything? Hello, Holy, how you doing? Okay, I'm not a religious person. Hello, Fernie, how you doing? Yeah, it's not always black or white. Sometimes it's grey. But we're just kind of talking with somebody about philosophical debates, like because I was on about the thing with consciousness, and they were saying how neuroscience has fully explained how kind of well, it seems like they're trying to say that hello Daniel, how you doing? Welcome in here. Saying that it's fully explained how material has just turned itself into sentient a sentient being over time. Is that well? I mean, that's what you was kind of implying, though, that saying that well, science, well, neuroscience has explained it. So that's what you was kind of implying with that, at least. Hello, Atharva. How you doing? Daniel, what you saying? Krishna Rama, so you're into that? Okay, all right then. I said have explained a lot. So would you say that there's still any kind of um, things to explain? I guess then that it's not a fully explained thing. I was talking about the whole thing of qualia and the whole thing of the subjective experience of life and why we experience the senses the way that we do. What is it that makes us experience it that way? Why does chocolate taste like that? Why do we see red the way that we do? It's a kind of you know it's one of those things you think about. Why does red appear that way? Why does blue appear that way? These are things you couldn't explain to somebody who was born blind. It's like there's the subjective experience of reality that, um, yeah. What's this? Anything with biological input will eventually develop intelligence if it could survive long enough, of course. I mean, but then you could argue that without consciousness present, then what is even the reality that we're in? So you could argue this is where it gets into kind of you know, um, humans can't be objective in nature. We are doomed to be subjective, right? But I'm saying, like, when we're talking about, it's like the whole thing of if a tree falls over and no one's around to hear it, does it still make a sound? Like, so what I'm saying is that there's this theory on like what's called biocentrism, where the idea that consciousness is at the center of the universe and that basically without consciousness nothing really exists because in order for red to exist, like the quality of talking about, then consciousness must be there to perceive it. I guess it kind of comes down to like quantum physics and stuff like that, and the whole thing of like the double slit experiment and the whole thing of the subjective observer, that it can either go one way or the other depending on how it's been observed. So that would suggest that but that like the whole wave particle thing and how it's the observer it's that is fundamental to the reality of so then you would go into like theories on, well, what is God? Is God just like basically collective consciousness, sort of like a that reality is determined by whatever the collective consciousness is, sort of thing. And that's yeah. So that basically, like, maybe without us nothing exists. That's the thing of like where it gets really quite weird and kind of like, but then so that you say got like things like the Big Bang then, haven't you? Because there's Big Bang theory and like, well, what is, like what is the Big Bang then if there was nobody around to see it, kind of thing? Like you could get into like that kind of, you know, did the Big Bang even happen if no one saw it then? Because the scientists will go on about the Big Bang and stuff. Well, who was around to see the Big Bang? Because if consciousness needed to exist in order for it to happen, then did it happen at all? So I think about equating reality to computers. So like opening a program or observing a space, if you go there regularly, it is more efficient to leave that open. I don't know what you mean there, but they're like walnuts. Yeah, why? Anyway, how you doing? Anyway, so like, yeah, just I don't know. People trying to like, equate like the brain to like a computer, and in some ways, like, yeah, the brain is like a computer. It's sort of like it operates in a lot of ways like that. I wouldn't say it's totally like a computer. It's organic and it's, I mean, but it's like it does share a lot of the same things, like how we can program our brain. I talk about programming the subconscious brain, which could be like seen as like programming into like the hard drive, like into the yeah, like we're putting things in different folders, like we put yeah. Um Hello Danny. Yeah, you know nothing about it. Okay, fair enough. Without us, as we can see galaxies, everything would be nothing, as you said. The cat in the box. See on about the Schrodinger's cat, because that's like a thought experiment where it's like, because wasn't it where something about with Schrodinger's cat? It was something about one of them was there was like something that it was something to do with like either they're either dead or alive, but what they were saying is that they're both dead and alive at the same time until there's an observer. Well, it's kind of like a hypothetical more so than like anything, but basically you could say, well, they can't be both dead and alive at the same time, but it's in terms of like the observer and in terms of we create like a we create a new universe is what some people say, that like the many worlds hypothesis of it and how we so basically yeah like but because we can't see it, then you could say, well, it's neither dead or alive because we're just kind of, unless we've seen it, we're just kind of yeah, you could only assume, but yeah, it's just, or it's both, but then like that would assume there's two different realities going on at the same time, which would mean that what they call quantum superposition, where there's um yeah, anyway, find it strange how, since we do have consciousness, even as early humans, they thought there was something greater in the world controlling things. What do you mean, like God or something, or what are you saying? Yeah, quantum mechanics. Yeah, yeah. What's that? Cat's in a box with a vial of poison. Yeah, that's the one. Until we open the box, we are not aware if the cat is dead or alive. Spot on. Yeah, that's the thing. It's because it's, in terms of like the reality that can go either way depending on whatever the situation, depending on however the laws of physics in this universe decide to play out, I guess. When we observe it, then it's yeah, it's just yeah, talk about subjective experience of the observer. It's like you get some people who are colorblind and they experience something different, which is a bit strange. Like It's like there was this thing where there was a dress, and some people saw it as blue and black, and some people saw it as white and gold, which is really quite yeah, strange that so sometimes we can't even agree on what color something is. So in some cases it can be subjective, and that depending on how you see it, that it's not even the same color. But the thing is, we go even deeper than that. How do we know that each person even sees blue or red the same way? You know, how do we know that your red isn't my blue? You know, how do we know that? We don't know, do we? We're just assuming things. Color blindness is more likely in men. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Hi, Susan Owens. How you doing? But in terms of like, you know, how do we know that even my version of blue and your version of blue is the same? You know, that is something that, you know, it's a where am I streaming from? From the UK. Where are you from? Like, there's just so many things that we just assume. We assume that what, yeah, what we see is the same, I guess. But how do we know that? Oh, even Hong Kong. Oh yeah, I'm in the UK. Yeah, wasn't Hong Kong once owned by Britain or something? What, do you not care? Is quantum physics different from normal laws of physics? Um, I mean, I guess it's just like it's all physics at the end of the day, isn't it? It's just all. What do you mean? Is it different? I mean, every law of physics is different from each other. It's just the slight experiment. If you look at atom, it changes, and the experiment changes. Right? Yeah. Or you need work, do you, Captain? Well, I hope you find that then. But so I was actually looking into something a while ago, changing the topic a bit, but on I think these things called liminal spaces and what it is that makes certain things unsettling, like how we it's not the thing itself that's unsettling, it's the context. So um I suppose it kind of goes back to the whole subjective nature of it, where it's like in terms of the context of certain things that you know, like can give you a different perception of it. Like, for example, a even something like a school corridor, but instead of, you know, it being like when the school is open, when the school is shut and there's nobody there, there's something kind of eerie about that. So yeah, so that's the where you take the people out of that, that's what makes it feel unsettling. So that it's yeah, I think it's just our brains, I guess, are kind of programmed to, you know, see certain things and like assume that there's supposed to be people in them or something. Like where places where they're meant for people to pass through or to stay at for a period of time, like say like a petrol station or a service station or something like that. And it's when we see that and there's nobody there, then it's like there's something unsettling about that. So it's yeah, it's like if you've ever seen The Shining and you've got the hotel thing and it's you've got nobody there and it's there's a kind of eeriness about that. But yeah, it's anyway. Yeah, quantum physics is different from Newton physics, but then you've got Einstein physics as well, haven't you? So there's different physics and stuff. I've never seen Wall-E, no. that's where we are headed as humans. Leave the computers to answer these questions while we sit about in chairs watching memes. Oh yeah, because we're letting AI just kind of solve problems for us and stuff. Like we'll use Chat GPT, and a lot of us are guilty of that. We're using Chat GPT to answer things and stuff. Did you know memories are change all the time? So that memory is not the real memory. Yeah, because you got the Mandela effect, right? And that kind of proves that our memories can play tricks on us. Oh yeah, Backrooms is a good one. Yeah, Uncanny Valley is another one as well. With the yeah, these kind of like humanoid kind of looking creatures. They're not quite human, but don't quite look alien either. Kind of that gray area in between that's unsettling. Anyway, I love Short 81. I do like some horror kind of stuff as well, but yeah. Talking about this last night, but it's a bit of a change of topic. But yeah, I do like a lot where I just change topics. But yeah, but yeah, with the Mandela effect, where people have remembered things the wrong way, and yeah, I've never really experienced the Mandela effect. I wouldn't say it's just. I mean, apart from maybe there was that one with the. I would have assumed that there was a dash between the kit and cat in Kit Kat, like a hyphen, whatever they call it, like a you know what I mean? It's because in my mind I would have kind of assumed I would have thought there was one there, but there's never been one there apparently. Like there was a lot of people that thought that the Monopoly guy had a monocle. I don't really remember that myself, but like a lot of people said they remember the Monopoly guy having a monocle. So where did they get that from? Is that sort of thing. It's like the C3PO one where they remember it having a golden boot or something like that, whatever it was. Where the hell did they get that from? I don't know. Why did so many people remember the same thing? It's a kind of, but yeah, it's crazy how the brain can play tricks on us and stuff. It's yeah, it probably did in some images. Well, maybe there was, I don't know, but no one seems to have been able to find it. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's actually found that, but there is some examples of Mandela effects, like where where it was never that way. Like Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, for example, where that's what people remember. Some of it can be like cultural and kind of, something that, you know, kind of just people took on. So they took on these false memories of that because, well, they might be remembering what culture references it as. Hello, Top G. How you doing? What's that? Wish you had boxes. Hard to explain everything. Yeah, I don't really do boxes because I just know that people just kind of leave most of the time. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Welcome in here, everybody. Share this out if you can. That would be really appreciated. Yeah. Is everyone all right? We've got 12 on YouTube now, so welcome in. Yeah, say hello if you're watching. What's that? Deathbat says you give them the idea of what you're saying. It's just suggesting it to a number of people as well. You give them the idea. Yeah. I think that's what a lot of times memories come from. Is not your natural memory that you have, but rather it's passed on from other people. But even sometimes the memory that you have, like someone was saying, it can be changed. Or people just fill in the blanks sometimes with that. Okay, we're getting rid of this comment here. People fill in the blanks in their mind, like, or their brain just kind of, remembers what is just kind of like mirror, mirror on the wall. Just it sounds more catchy, doesn't it? The magic mirror on the wall. I don't know. It just sounds more mirror, mirror on the wall. Like it just has a more catchy sound to it, doesn't it? Rather than magic mirror on the wall. Like it just sounds a bit off. So like people remember it, the one that's more catchy, I guess. is how I'd explain it. Yeah, apparently the people saying that Nelson Mandela died in the prison or something. So he says, "Oh, remember Nelson Mandela died in prison rings true because he is famous for persecution and being in prison." Yeah, but like, why did people remember him dying in prison in the 80s though? Like, where did that come from? You know, why do so many people remember that? You know, where did that memory come from? There has to be some reason why so many people remember that version of it. You know, was there somebody else similar to Mandela that they were getting confused with, maybe, or something? Example: one of the most dangerous things to do in sleep, the brain is awake, looking after you as you can. What you mean? What's this? Sarah says there was Fly My Monkeys Simpsons versus Fly on Wizard of Oz. So that's what you're saying, is that people can conflate the two or something, or whatever you call it. That people can get it confused, and it tricks the mind, or because you just presented the idea of, in my question, they didn't remember if you just told them it was true. Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes it's not the memory at all, it's just that that's the version that they just kind of believed based on other people. Anyway, but yeah, just we can be quite suggestible, can't we, humans? It's like people's going about like past life recollection, and people are saying that that's BS or something, and it's just children just quite sort of what they call it, suggestible or whatever, and impressionable, I guess is the word, at that age, and that they're taking in all these bits of information and creating these false kind of memories or something. I don't know that, but there's crazy ones like here where they supposedly remember dying in some war where they got impaled or something, and supposedly they had like some birthmark in that exact spot or something. Thank you for sharing it. So like, how would that be explained? Just a coincidence or something? The drain is in you to stop blood from not moving, as they said he died in his sleep. Oh, really? Thank you for the hot puff, hellish bat. Nice one. Hang on a second, guys. Bear with me a second. Yeah, subliminal messaging is a big thing, because people do that with, say, like, there's actually like, you got like mentalism and stuff like that, where they'll use subliminal messages to try and put certain things in people's minds so that that they will, so that they can act like they've been psychic and they predicted something. Thank you for the roles, hellish, but they were actually trying to like condition their mind to try and think of that or something, if you get me. So that there was stuff like Darren Brown who did that sort of stuff. How did Bruce Willis get a World War I bullet in his leg? Oh yeah, I don't know. Advertising and politics can do a lot too. Yeah, definitely. I do believe in past life shit, but you got to pay attention. There seems to be too many Marilyns and Cleopatra. What do you mean? Hello, Thunder Pigeon. All right. So yeah, so I mean, some say if we had a past life, we wouldn't remember it because each life would be a clean slate, because we're starting over again, basically, with a new brain and all that, and some would say all that information is lost, basically, and you wouldn't remember anything, and that would be why you wouldn't. Yeah. Anyway, what's this? I love mentalist. You gotta disclose yourself. Though again, it's a good tool. What do you mean? You gotta disclose yourself? What are you saying? I don't know. It's yeah. So Darren Brown, I used to watch his stuff, and Yeah, hello Lillian, how you doing? I hope you're well today. I mean, there's a lot of people who think they're incarnated from famous people. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, some people might just say that to try and, I don't know, get some kind of publicity or something. So you can't always trust it. It's like, even some of these like near-death experiences, how do we know that they're all real and they're not just making it up? Like, we don't know, do we? Someone could just claim that they've seen God or something, but what if they're just doing that to try and get some name for themselves or something, you know? Now, I'm not saying that that's always the case, and I don't believe it is, but I don't know, I can be quite skeptical of things and question that, you know, because a lot of people don't necessarily have the best motives with things, and yeah, we have to just be a bit kind of skeptical of when people are, you know, I mean, you know, making these claims that they've seen angels or whatever in a near-death experience. Yeah, that's the thing. We can only really know ourselves. Yeah, like I said, how do we know that your version of red is the same as mine? So yeah, you get like colorblind people and stuff, but it's like, but even, you know, when we see the same colors or whatever, how do we know that we're actually seeing them the same way? Like we'll just kind of give that color a label, but how do we know that that label, that color label that we give it, is the same for everybody? Like my version of red could be different to yours. We don't know. I go deeper and say, what if there's a whole other bunch of senses that we haven't actually ever perceived? It's like, because for example, you've got sort of, yeah, social construct. Yeah, that's the thing. Because, you know, there could be 10, 20, 100 plus different senses that we haven't even experienced. So like, because I think isn't there like animals that can see different colors to us that, that's what they're, you know, kind of, they've studied that they, like some animals just see black and white or something, whereas some they see two colors, some see tens of colors or whatever. I don't know how many that some can see, but um, how you doing, everybody? What's the truth? What you're saying? I believe our programming is a thing. Governments plant ideas of enemies in the public conscious and hope it creates the divide without questioning why we are divided. Yeah, that's true. Hello, Rust A. Wilson. How you doing? Hi, Ben Dale. How you doing? Hope you're well today, everybody. Okay, Indigo. Yeah, so like, I'm doing fine, thank you, Daya. How are you doing today? Hope all is well. Like, night vision, ultraviolet, pretty cool. Oh, yeah. But it's like, if we could see that, what would it look like, kind of thing? Is there anyone that could actually, is there anyone that could see ultraviolet or something? Hello, Nicola Ford. Good to see you again. How are you doing? What's scary if your red is not my red? What are implication of everything? Yeah, that's the thing. Thank you for the Thunderhammer Dyer. Nice one. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? What does that imply, that there is no objective reality or something, or what? Thank you for the rose Dyer. I don't know. It's just we won't know, will we, that whether my version of a color is the same as yours. I mean, even things like tastes and stuff like that. Could we really even, you know, say that that is even the same for everybody? Why is it that some people like certain tastes and some people hate that same taste? Do they experience it the same way? Probably not. At least not in the same kind of. Maybe some people have a, you know, and maybe because it's like even people. So well, I guess well maybe they experience the same senses, but maybe they just experience some heightened over others, and that's kind of like something that's obvious, really, but basically, like for example, like some people might have a very sweet tooth or whatever, and it's like, you know, you've got people with their subjective experiences of that food or something. For example, like they might like the taste of I don't know. A lot of people don't like the taste of a lot of vegetables, for example, like maybe like spinach or kale, for example. Thank you for Rose's diverse. Some people might like it. So it's yeah, good wait, evening. Hello, Narcissa. How you doing? Hope you're well. Hi, Carol. How you doing? Apparently, humans are slightly bioluminescent. We glow in the dark. Oh yeah, really? All right. Yeah, I never really knew about that. Really, is that true? Hello, Christian. How you doing? I know there's some like fish like deep in the ocean where it's dark. Can actually be bioluminescent. I've heard, and they use that to attract predators. It's like a sort of yeah, like to lure its predators in. It's interesting. Like the fish get weirder and weirder as you go down in the ocean. Like they just start looking really, really strange. They start to look like otherworldly at a certain point. Basically, they start to look like monsters from some other world or something. They don't even look like fish anymore because probably a lot of that's yeah because the pressures are that strong down there as well. So it's like they have to be adapted to a completely different environment. So yeah, they're like really yeah, a lot of it's very like strong pressures that say thousands of meters down. There's krill stuff that's bioluminescent that you can see on top of the waves in some places in the world. Oh, really? Sarah says, "Oh, if you get genetic testing with like 23 or me, 20, yeah, 23 and me, it's called. Yeah. Anyway, hi, Oleg Mungu. How you doing today? Well, if you're new here, please give me a follow. It will show a bit of that. It figured out that my preference was chocolate ice cream. Figure out if you like coriander or not. Stuff like that. Oh, really? How the hell does it know that? I don't know. So what you're saying is that tastes in certain foods are genetic or something. I don't know, but sometimes even like your upbringing can determine it. Like if you're brought with certain foods, that can influence it as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just weird how certain people can not agree on something. It's like like yeah, does someone like coriander or not? Like yeah, it's anyway. Um, it's like even like say music taste. I guess a lot of that is comes down to like your upbringing and what you've been brought up on and stuff like that. Like sometimes your music taste can change over time depending on what you expose yourself to. Sometimes people get exposed to new styles of music and it adjusts. It's like I was talking a while ago about this how if you stop eating like added sugars on foods and stuff, then things like fruit that's naturally sweet will actually taste sweeter over time because the to do with the taste buds or something. So a lot of it's going to be down to that. But what I'm saying is that I guess we would all maybe sweet is something that tastes the same to everybody. I guess like I don't know. Like I would have thought that those senses are probably like the same everywhere. I don't know, but we still don't know like exactly how people experience all the senses and stuff. But yeah, hi, Diego, how you doing? It's this old qualia thing, the subjective experience of things that yeah. It's like I said, they were calling it the hard problem of consciousness. Anyway, is everybody okay today? Yeah. Um, yeah, is everyone yeah. What's everybody up to today? Everybody doing okay? A mutation. All right. The coriander thing is specifically genetic, and specific gene makes it bitter to some. Others without the gene test it as kind of spicy. I couldn't say. Yeah, I think I remember it tasted kind of bitter or something. I didn't really like the taste of it. Same with rocket. I don't really like the taste of rocket either. I went up trying to taste a rocket leaf and I'm like, this tastes kind of bitter. Um, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the live today. It's kind of slow. I might have to restart it again or something. I might restart it on both ends actually. Right, I'm gonna